Welcome to the smart community, smart regions, smart towns, and smart cities. It's where we live, work, and play. With smart communities, the future starts today. Big data, smart mobility, emerging trends galore. The Smart Community Podcast is what you're looking for.
Welcome back to the Smart Community Podcast.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We can still say that, right?
We can still say that. Absolutely. And welcome back to all the listeners to our first episode in a year. We are just popping in with a little update and some news, some smart community news, some Zoe Ethan news, and a little bit of an update how 2024 went, and then looking ahead to 2025, what's happening. So we've had a big break from the Smart Community Podcast in the last 12 months, where we left off in February 2024. I was getting ready to have another baby and go off on maternity leave. And you, Zoe, were slowing things down because your mum wasn't very well and you wanted to spend a lot more time with family. So do you want to give us a little update?
Yeah, so much happened last year. It was a time for slowing down, but some things slowed down, some things accelerated. So yes, unfortunately, my mum passed away at the end of February 2024. So coming up onto a year now. But it was really, I guess, the right time for me to step back and step into my family life. Like I spent basically all of January at the Wesley Hospital, shout out to the staff there, and then mum went into, she was in palliative care there, and then she was able to come home where dad and I and my sister, dad mainly looked after her. He got all of the training to be a palliative care nurse, and then also we had the palliative care nurses down in, my parents live south of Stanthorpe, which is in Queensland, just above the border of New South Wales. So, but I was able to, stay there till the very end, which was a really special and privileged experience, and one that you're never ready for, of course. But and it did seem much too early, of course. But it was a sad but special time spent
absolutely
with family. But also during that time I got married twice. Actually,
to the same person.
So yeah, my wife and we got engaged in May of 2023, and so we were intended to get married in May of 2024, but I just couldn't really comprehend. Well, we didn't know what was going to happen, and I couldn't comprehend having a wedding at that time if mum wasn't there. It was actually my wife's idea. We got married first at the hospital with mum on the 24th of January, so coming up very soon, our first anniversary. Which I don't know. Again, one of those things that you don't like, that happens in other people's lives. And we didn't know whether it was necessary, but it became more and more pressing. So we decided to do that. Our lovely celebrant and photographer and our florist all came, supplied things and came to that. And it was just me, my wife, my dad and my mum. So mum signed our marriage certificate, which was really special as well. And then we got married again. So we brought the wedding forward already, but then we realized we had to kind of bring it forward to do the hospital wedding first. But then we still had the other celebration in the white dresses on the 10th of February, where we had we made it quite small. So I think we had about 40 people. But it was really beautiful. Unfortunately, mum couldn't come to that because she was at home, but my auntie was able to look after her, and she was able to FaceTime or stream in to watch. And that was again another kind of special moment.
So it was a real couple of months of joy and sorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so 2 weeks after that is when mum passed away, and then you go into organizing memorials and all those
Yeah,
sorts
all
of
that's
things as well.
involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny the way life often does that, doesn't it? Things butting
Mm.
up against each other, the big life events all coming at once.
Yeah. And I guess like reflecting back, I was so grateful that I had been able to build in a lot of flexibility to my life, and the
Mm,
contracts that I had and the clients that I had were just
mm,
absolutely amazing. And I was able to then one work from anywhere, which have been able to do for the last well, how many years now? Six or so ish years,
7, I think. Yeah,
seven,
yeah.
which has been amazing. And then yeah, just giving me that flexibility, keeping things going forward as I needed to, but then being able to drop things off as well. And I mean, it like obviously most people are very understanding, but it's still just having that flexibility of
Mm,
the work that we built together has been it was it allowed me to then spend all of my time where I needed to do that.
yeah,
So that was it was good reflection on what we've been trying to build, what I've been trying to build on in the space for myself, and also spreading out to the smart community space as well.
mm,
Yeah. So it's been a year, and that was
for
just the
sure.
very start of it. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
And you did slow down quite understandably, slow down quite a lot work-wise for that at least first half of the year, and spend more time with family. And so we paused the podcast. I went off and had another baby. He's
Yay,
Thank
congratulations.
you. He's doing very well.
Yes.
Um, and I'm now coming back from maternity leave, easing back into things. And you have gone on to some new personal and professional explorations as well throughout the year as well. Tell us about, maybe let's start with yoga.
Yoga. Yes. Who would have thought? I mean, I have been practicing yoga for the last, well, how old am I now? Yeah, it would have been 10 to maybe a bit more. 10 years or so.
Well,
When
actually,
did we
we met
start?
at yoga. That's
We
funny.
met at
Hey,
yoga. Oh my God.
yeah,
Full
this podcast
circle.
would not have happened if you didn't go to yoga
I
and
know.
I didn't go to yoga.
That was, I forgot about that. I mean, you
Yeah.
were literally in my phone as like Ellen Yoga for so long.
You too, you're still in my phone as Zoe, friend from yoga, even though
Yeah.
we've done all this professional podcast, smart community stuff for like
Oh my
nearly,
God.
yeah, but many years now is still yoga.
So that was 10 years ago then, because it
Yeah.
was 2014, because it
Yeah.
was just after I bought my first
The
house,
house.
and
Yes,
my
absolutely.
first house, as if I have a portfolio of houses now.
You
Um,
have since moved house, is what you mean.
yes. Yeah, wow. Okay, so I did yoga, yeah, probably properly for the last 10 years or so, but a little bit before then. Anyway, irrelevant really to the story, but I loved yoga. I mean, it took me a long time to kind of, find my groove, find what I like, da 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 da, as it does when you're doing any kind of new thing. Um, but I was always wanting to learn how to teach yoga, just to go to that next level of learning. One of my core values is curiosity, which I recently did a strategy session with another good friend, and again, that value came out. And I'd kind of forgotten that. But anyway, curiosity and creativity and adventure. So anyway, yoga was always part of my life, but as a hobby or a thing you do for wellness. But I've learned so much about breathing and all this kind of stuff as well. But anyway, I always wanted to study, become a yoga teacher, just not necessarily to teach yoga, but just to get that next level of information,
Further your
education,
practice. Yeah. Deepen your
further my
practice.
practice. That's the perfect way to put it. And so, yeah, last year then I decided I'm going to do it. So I took 2 weeks off and went to Byron Bay, which was, again, beautiful. And it was also really nice kind of healing
Hmm.
time for me as well, doing yoga every day with other yogis who are also there, and then just learning a bit more. And, I think you take what you need and take what you want from it. You don't have to believe everything and do everything and know everything, but taking what you want from it. And that's what I really like about yoga is you don't have to, like, it's not I guess a religion or it's just a way of moving your body and coming into your body and mindfulness. And so that's what I really like about yoga. But anyway, so I did my teacher training, and I have just started doing a bit of yoga teaching as well. Again, just kind of for fun and continuing my practice. It's quite easy to make time for yoga when you have to be there because you're the teacher. So you can't just like, I don't feel like going today. You're like, oh, hang on a second. And also just sharing that with other people as well has been really great. And just, again, everyone goes to yoga for their own reasons. So just starting to understand and witness what other people are doing as well, and then being able to share and then adjusting things and changing, which I really love. And it's something like from speaking, like you're thinking about it as you're sharing your message and things like that. So it's been really great. Now I'm not dropping everything to become a full-time.
It's not going to be the teacher. Smart Yoga podcast.
No, it will not. But if you want to learn more about yoga, let's chat. But I can point you to many.
Well, I guess it's just part of the personal update, right?
Exactly.
What you've been doing for the last 12 months.
Absolutely. And so I've done that. But the other thing that I decided to do to slow down, in inverted commas, was to start a PhD. So I have started a PhD at UTS. I've got an amazing supervisor, Martin Tomic, who has been on the podcast. Yes, many years ago. And another supervisor, Dr. Shabani. So she's so Martin, very much in the smart city space, very much about data and interaction in public space, and doing lots about that human computer interface, which has been just even the few sessions I've had with Martin. And I knew because I knew him from my podcast, and that's what was leveraged to reach out to him actually, and then we've been connected ever since then. But then Dr. Shabani is all about AI, and so she'll be supporting me and that AI element.
And what's your podcast? Not your podcast. Your PhD title?
So my PhD title, I mean, it's a bit of a mouthful as they happen to be, but I'll explain it. So the working title, the starting title, is Increasing Community Action Through AI-Enabled Empathetic Data Storytelling. So what that means is I want to understand what human elements affect our ability to interpret data visualizations as we're in this world where we have to take in data and information really quickly. Visualizations are becoming more and more prevalent in our everyday lives. Like we're surrounded by them, whether they're charts and graphs or whether they're stories or whether they're, people sharing reels and things like that. We're always taking in lots and lots of information. But our heuristics, so our biases, our experiences affect our ability to interpret data in certain ways. So I want to understand how that works. And then from there, we'll have a catalog of human factors that affects our ability to interpret data. So then when we're creating data visualizations, particularly for public good, it's my whole shtick. What things can we use to then help us to make better decisions overall? So I'll be looking at, first of all, what biases and heuristics affect our ability to interpret data. And then looking at some like persuasive techniques and social influence theory. Can we ask questions around those visualizations to get people to make better decisions or take action? So a little bit of like human behavior, how our brains work, that type of thing. And then looking at how that then we can use those human factors to create better visualizations to help support that decision making. Now, in that also, because we know that AI is becoming more and more a tool, or it is a tool, but becoming more and more accessible, how can we use that responsibly and ethically to help us to make better visualizations as well? Is that possible with our current available AI. So artificial intelligence, generative AI in particular. So yeah, again, I'm at the very beginning, so I might listen back to this and go, oh my God, what was I even on about back then? But we'll see. We'll see where it evolves. So I'm just in the very early stages of studying my expert interviews, as well as literature review on what some of those things are and how we can then use the things that the things that are affecting our ability to interpret data to then create better visualizations to get people to take action on those.
We're still working out what the podcast will be this year, but there will be the occasional update at least.
Absolutely, yes. We're in the process of working out what that will look like. So yeah, human factors that affect our ability to interpret data. Then how can we use those human factors to make better data visualizations and stories to get decision makers to make positive decisions for a better future?
Yeah.
Is the idea now, but all people that have done a PhD will be going, yes, Zoe, that sounds great, but you'll be like turning here and here and here and here and here and here. Let's see where you get to.
But you got to start somewhere, right? Like you got to start somewhere. So yeah, it's good. We'll watch the journey evolve.
Yes.
And then there's some other things on the horizon this year as well. So tell us about your Homeward Bound trip.
Yes. So Homeward Bound is a Women in STEM leadership program. Their mission is to create, I think it's 10,000 alumni of this program. It's been going for, I should know, but a number of years now. And the idea is to build leadership skills because, as we know, in STEM, women still don't have or are still a minority, and particularly in leadership positions. So can we build leadership skills, but also network together as women in STEM? And so science, technology, engineering, math. But in that group, it's very diverse and from all around the world as well. There are scientists of all varieties, engineers, mathematicians, technology people, of course, but there's also communication, like science communicators, so filmmakers. So there's lots of diversity, which is really great. I'm so excited to meet. Well, I've already met some of the people, particularly ones that are in Brisbane. But what you do is you do a year-long leadership program online. And you have some sessions, group sessions, which are monthly, and then you have they might even be fortnightly. I can't remember. It was a while ago since I finished that part of it. But then you also have some coaching sessions as well to work out your leadership style, your behaviors, things you want to work on, etc., etc. But the pinnacle of the trip of the program is a trip where you meet all together. And for the last few years, from the beginning, it's been Antarctica. Now, it started with Antarctica because the co-founder, co-founded it with Antarctic scientists, is my understanding. So it was always Antarctica being such a special place where you can really switch off the remoteness, the level of adventure that you have to have just to get there, and then when you're on the boat, and just the complete uniqueness of Antarctica as well, and also being able to see climate change in front of your eyes. Was like the initial thinking, from my understanding, and so this will be the last trip to Antarctica because there's much more tourism happening now in Antarctica, which is not necessarily a good thing for that climate change piece, the emissions, the untouched nature of Antarctica. So there was a decision made that this will be the last trip to Antarctica, and then the next cohort will meet somewhere else, somewhere still remote and rugged and things like that, but it won't be as big. It won't be Antarctica because also Antarctica is not accessible for everyone on the program.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you have to pay for it. It's not free. And so it's quite an expensive exercise to, one, even just get there, and then two, the boat trip obviously is quite expensive. It's not a cruise ship per se with, you know, bars and pools and things like that. It's an expedition ship. But we'll be able to then go in smaller boats, little zodiacs, they're called, little blow-up boats that then go to the ice and the land as well. So yeah, so that's it. So there's the year-long program. Yeah, online. There's about just over 100 of us going, so we'll be on the boat. And then so we all meet in Antarctica. In fact, well, when we're recording this, just over 2 weeks. So I'll leave Australia on the 24th of January 2025, and then spend a couple of days traveling. So we leave from Ushuaia in Argentina. And then on the boat, we'll be on the boat for 15 days, stopping at certain times on the ice, and then then heading back. So yeah, it's coming up. Like, it's been on
big adventure.
Yeah, I'm so excited now, like, because it's been on the calendar for so long now. It got pushed back, etc., but now it's like, oh my God, it's happening. Yeah, so I am really excited. We get to Ushuaia. We all meet in Ushuaia, and we start to meet everybody, etc. And then on the boat, it's actually, we haven't been told a lot about what we're doing, but it's all focused on leadership and learning about Antarctica as well, and sustainability, and so they have this thing called Symposium by the Sea, or on the sea. So lots of different talks by experts, and so I'm really looking forward to it. It will also be a bit of a digital detox because there's a little bit of internet, but very patchy. No, I don't think we'll be streaming any Netflix or anything like that. And so I'm really looking forward to taking that digital break as well. Having the privilege of taking a digital break, mind you. So that will be on the boat. It will be very limited, which will be another challenge in itself, but also good break for the brain, I think. So looking forward to seeing what else creativity wise and things like that comes out. And
just the networking and the meeting all the many different women in STEM.
It's a really special cohort. Like, even we're in this WhatsApp group already, and just seeing what people are offering. I'm going to do some yoga on the boat.
Great.
And I've offered people can join me, so that will be really nice as well. And lots of different skills, lots of different backgrounds, different cultures, and people sharing what they want to do and celebrate, and what their skills are, and what they're offering on the boat. It's going to be really special.
And so we're going to do an update, like a bit of a debrief on that when you get back.
We will.
Put it out on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'll do some recording on the boat. I'll have my GoPro with me as well to do some videos. And anyway, it will just depend on the internet and things like that of when I can upload. But I'm sharing that on LinkedIn as well as on the podcast.
Yeah. So we're going to do that. And as I said, we're still sort of figuring out what the podcast will look like this year, what kind of episodes we're going to be doing. It will be back in some form or another. And we look forward to that. And the other thing I wanted you to touch on, Zoe, was, you obviously, to do your PhD, you're cutting back on some consulting for a while, but you're still doing your speaking and your MCing. And you've been doing a bit of that last year, and you went to the Barcelona Smart Cities World conference again end of last year. Yeah, can you tell us a bit about some of the themes that you're seeing in the smart city, smart community space?
Sure. So end of last year was quite busy in terms of speaking, and I was picking up. I had some really nice projects as well, and moving into this year, more speaking, which will be exciting. So keynotes and emceeing. And then, end of last year, I spent some time in Christchurch, speaking in Melbourne, went back out to my hometown in Roma, which was really nice, and did go to Barcelona, which again was just a really nice way to round out the year, catching back up with my smart community friends from all around the world. And I hosted 3 sessions or chaired 3 sessions there as well, which again, I just loved. It was amazing to be able to connect with so many different people and learn, as well as being able to do the hosting and the emceeing, which is what I absolutely love to do. So themes that came out though, would so much talk about generative AI, which I think in Australia, in the smart city space, has not, it's obviously there and it's becoming more accessible and we're hearing about it, but the applications we were talking about a lot. So City of Madrid have a Visit Madrid GPT, where they have their own large language model, where you can, if you're going to Madrid, you say, what should I do on a Sunday afternoon? And it will give you something much better than if you just type that into your search engine, which, this is popular, or try this and then do that, consider this, etc., etc. They've had really positive feedback. So I was able to interview the people from Microsoft who were working with City of Madrid, as well as Destination Madrid as well, which was really great. But lots of talk about applications of generative AI in cities, which I hadn't heard a lot yet in Australia. So that was really a key one. Lots of talk about, actually, I would like to have seen more talk about data visualizations and data in public space as well. So I saw some, the Prague exhibition had this really great display of public art. It was lighting art, but it was it was data from their public transport systems. So it was, when it was blue, it was on time, and when it was red, it was running late, and it was actually real time. So it had these light displays. So you go into this box and you have these screens, and then really low energy lights, so LEDs. But the way that they did it was just you just get this kind of spectacle of lights, and you can see it moving around, and blues and reds. And then they also had one on temperature and microclimate and things like that. And again, it was quite it was a small display for the exhibition, but then they were talking about what they're going to do about that, or what they're going to do to expand that out to really be public facing, to get people, again, starting that conversation about what data in cities can do, but also or enjoying it as art, and then starting a conversation that way as well. So I really loved that, and it actually really inspired me for my PhD as well. Like, I was already doing the PhD, but I'm like, actually something like this I really would love to have as an outcome for the PhD, or project in general, because I think we need to bridge that gap of data with the community, but we can't expect them to speak our language if we're not willing to speak theirs. So, and that, you'll take what you need from it. Not everyone's going to then go home and have a conversation about climate change, but maybe they start a conversation about environmental sensors. Did you know that they are collecting this data, or whatever the case is? Or I saw this really beautiful display. You should go and see it as well. And then it's a snowball effect, right? So I'd like to see more of that, but more conversations are happening about data and what we can really do with data, what we can and what we can't. We thought data was going to do a whole bunch of different things, but then there's and the data's everywhere and things like that. But it's to be able to collect it properly in the right formats. The kind of boring stuff, but the stuff that really matters, the governance of data, the privacy, the ethics of collecting data. Those things will become more and more topics of conversation. They have to, if we're actually going to be able to make better decisions with data. And we're still starting small, these small pilots, but pilots that then can scale. So, I've been working in the from Barcelona, I started to think about these things, but actually then I realized I'd actually been working a lot in this space the whole year around how we can use data for places and place-based data and how we can feed that into our decision making. But it's not an automatic thing that happens. There's so much work that goes into it to be able to collect data and clean data and analyze data. But once you set up those foundations, then we can really get the real value and that return on investment, which may be money, but it may be efficiencies, it may be resources, it may be better insights that then we can make better decisions or different decisions, quality of life, all these types of things. So I'm excited for with the PhD to dive deeper into the data space, but then also if I'll still be doing some projects, some consulting, doing projects in that space as well to really mesh the urban environment and the data space. Yeah, I think there's lots I can say about that, but maybe that's for another episode that we can dive a bit deeper. But the other thing that was really interesting in Barcelona was I was lucky enough. So I joined a delegation. There was a whole range of peak bodies, ASCA being one of those, Australian Smart Community Association. And so massive thanks to the team that organised all of that. I was already going, but I was able to join that delegation. And one of the sessions we attended was on Ukraine. So lots of people talking about Ukraine and how they're like literally in the middle of a war, but they're talking about how they're using data and digital, one for crisis, but then two, they're starting to think about, or they're already thinking about how they build back better and once they are able to. And so the digital Kyiv app used to just, I believe, was just, it was a citizen app. You could pay your parking, whatever, all that kind of stuff on there. But now it also shows you when the next airstrike's going to be or the closest, shelter and things like that. So
wow.
And just, again, one of those things that's like so far out of our vision living here in Australia. But then once you're sitting in a room and listening to people talk, it's their everyday lives. It's sobering. It's I don't even know what the word is, but you just go, oh wow, the stuff that we're doing is affecting real people, real lives. It's not just for when things are good. It's actually for when
why wouldn't you use it in those scenarios? If you've got the technology and you've got the capacity and it's not just so that you can pay for your parking when you go downtown with an app instead of putting coins in a parking meter. It's not just for those kind of like extras in life. It's actually really, really tangible stuff in terms of
life and death situations, right? But the thing is that they've set up the digital infrastructure to be able to do that, and that's really powerful. And from the kind of like the citizen interface perspective as well, making it really easy. But then enabling digital infrastructure, once they're building back as well, they're thinking about how they're going to add fiber and things like this, and what they have the opportunity to build from the ground up in a lot of cases. What do the citizens want? What does the government need? What do they want the place to be? Even like from a devastation, obviously, but then now taking that opportunity to build back when the time comes. So that was, again, really interesting to start. It was actually the start of the first day in the session, and just hearing what people were talking about. And it's stuff that we're talking about, but then, the application.
In very different contexts.
It's so it just got me back into kind of, the stuff we're doing, it's not just, isn't that nice to have a bit of technology here or there. It's actually, this is solving big wicked problems, helping in crisis, helping in disaster. And actually on that same note with disaster, like when I went to the Christchurch Innovation Expo and emceed that event, which was amazing as well, but also them using technology in fire situations, and how they were able to actually test the system because they had another fire, and then the benefits that it actually brought when they were using sensors over just kind of analog technology. So yeah, again, this stuff really matters, and just keep pushing, keep being involved.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice way to wrap up, I think. We obviously want to stay in touch in 2025. We will definitely be back with some more updates, maybe lots of episodes. We're figuring it out. Watch this space. Stay tuned. And hopefully you can take these messages with you to prioritize your family in your life and your health and your well-being, and also to remember that the work that you do matters. The cumulative effect of everybody working in the smart community space actually does make a big difference.
Absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to sharing as I move along, and I guess being really open, because thinking about like with the PhD, I'll probably listen back to those episodes and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that's what I thought it was going to be back then. But I think that's the journey, and I do really want to share the journey with everyone as well. And you might not be doing a PhD, but other things in your life hopefully can help you in some way, or just be fun and interesting. Hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Well. Follow in your podcast app, and join us on LinkedIn as well if you're not already. We're going to be firing that back up again too.
We will.
And have a great day.
Thanks so much, Ellen, and thanks for interviewing me, and thanks for being along this journey with me as well, and looking forward to 2025.
Me too. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it.
Perfect. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Smart Community Podcast. Show notes for this episode and all other episodes are available on our website, mysmart.community/podcast. If you have any questions for us or any of our guests, you can email hello@mysmart.community. You can also find us on the socials. We are on LinkedIn and Twitter @SmartComHQ. That's com with 2 M's. If you are enjoying the podcast, please hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we would love for you to leave us a rating and review at wherever you listen. This really helps us reach more ears and eyes, so thank you for your support. As always, we hope you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed making it.
The Smart Community Podcast is what you're looking for.